Zombie Island was a place no human dared to venture. The once bustling community had vanished. Now the island was eerily quiet, except for the whispers of the wind and the occasional rustle of leaves. It seemed as if the island itself was alive, watching, waiting. The skies were perpetually grey, casting an ominous shadow over the land. The animals that roamed here were not ordinary. They were the undead, trapped between life and death. Trees stood as skeletal remains of their former selves, and the air was thick with a sense of dread. The ground was littered with bones, remnants of what once were. Among the undead inhabitants there was a sense of hierarchy. Predators and prey, even in their undead states, followed an unspoken rule. It was a grim reminder that nature, even when corrupted, maintained some semblance of order. The island was shrouded in mystery, with stories of betrayal and forbidden love whispered among its residents.
I was not your average cat. I was a green zombie cat with a striking red collar. My fur was patchy, revealing the decaying flesh beneath. My eyes glowed with an unnatural light, a mix of curiosity and hunger. I moved silently, my steps almost ghost-like as I navigated the island. My red collar was my most prized possession. It was a remnant of my past life, a symbol of who I once was. I wore it with pride, a beacon in the gloomy landscape of Zombie Island. The collar was the only bright spot on me, contrasting sharply with my green decaying body. Despite my zombie state, I retained a sense of self. I had memories, fleeting and fragmented, of a time before the island fell into ruin. These memories fueled me, driving my actions and decisions. I was not just a mindless creature. I was Yaz, with all the complexities that entailed. I felt an overpowering obsession that went beyond mere survival. My fixation was on Zozo, a brown dog who roamed the island with a fierce sense of purpose. My feelings were intense, bordering on the obsessive. I watched Zozo from the shadows, my undead heart yearning for something more.
I was a medium-sized brown dog with a presence that commanded respect. My fur was matted and my eyes sharp, constantly scanning my surroundings for threats. I was a protector, a guardian of the weak in a world gone mad. My loyalty was my defining trait, and I wore it like a badge of honor. Before the island became a desolate wasteland, I had lived a life of warmth and companionship. I had been part of a pack, a family that I had fiercely protected. Those days were long gone, swallowed by the darkness that now enveloped the island. But my instincts remained, honed and sharp. I was not alone in my quest for survival. I had allies, creatures I trusted in this unforgiving environment. Among them was a white cat and a green snake, both of whom had earned my trust through countless trials. We formed a trio, a small but tight-knit group that navigated the island's dangers together. My protective nature extended to my newfound friends. I would go to great lengths to ensure their safety, even if it meant putting myself in danger. This sense of duty, of unwavering loyalty, was what made me stand out in a world where trust was a rare commodity. My closest companions on the island were an unlikely duo, a white cat and a green snake. The white cat, with its pristine fur, was a stark contrast to the decaying environment. It was agile, clever, and often served as the eyes and ears of our group. The green snake, on the other hand, was a master of stealth, able to slip through the narrowest of spaces undetected. We had formed a bond based on mutual trust and necessity. We had saved each other countless times, our lives intertwined by the shared goal of survival. The white cat, with its quick reflexes, often alerted us to impending danger. The green snake, with its silent approach, could strike with deadly precision when needed.
Zozo valued this friendship deeply. It was one of the few things that kept her grounded in a world that was otherwise falling apart. The green snake and I had become her family, a new pack that she was determined to protect at all costs.
However, even in this close-knit group, there were secrets. I, for all my loyalty, harbored a dark past. I had betrayed before and could do so again. But for now, we moved as one, our collective strength, our best defense against the island's horrors.
The green snake's past betrayal was a story whispered among the island's undead inhabitants. I had learned of it through fragments of conversations, piecing together the dark history. The snake had once betrayed a close friend, leading them into a trap for its own gain. The betrayal had been swift and ruthless.
It was not just about survival. It was about eliminating anything that stood between her and Zozo.
The snake's betrayal of its past friend only fueled my resolve. I decided that the snake must be dealt with once and for all.
The encounter between Yaz and the green snake was inevitable. Yaz had been stalking the snake, watching its movements, waiting for the right moment. When the time came, Yaz struck with a ferocity that belied her undead state. The fight was quick and brutal, ending with Yaz sinking her teeth into the snake's flesh. The taste of victory and of the snake's flesh was bittersweet. Yaz had avenged the betrayal, but at what cost? The act of consuming the snake was a turning point, solidifying her transformation from a mere zombie cat to a creature driven by darker impulses. It was a moment of triumph, but also a moment of loss.
My obsession with Zozo grew with each passing day. I watched from the shadows, my undead heart pounding with a mix of fear and longing. Zozo was everything I wanted, strong, protective, and loyal. But Zozo's loyalty was to her friends, not to me. This unrequited love tormented me, driving me deeper into my obsession.
I had noticed Yaz's presence. I was wary, sensing the cat's fixation. My instincts told me to keep my distance, to avoid the green zombie cat with the red collar. There was something unsettling about Yaz's gaze, something that made my fur stand on end.
The more Zozo avoided her, the more Yaz's longing intensified. She fantasized about being close to Zozo, about feeling her warmth and protection. Yaz's mind was consumed by these thoughts, leaving little room for anything else. Her love was an obsession, pure and simple. Yet despite her feelings, Yaz was unsure how to approach Zozo. She feared rejection, feared that her undead state would be a barrier she could never overcome. But the fear only fueled her determination. She knew she had to find a way to make Zozo see her, to acknowledge her feelings. The day of the confrontation arrived. Yaz could no longer contain her feelings. She decided to take a bold step to force Zozo to confront her. It was a risky move, one that could either bring them closer or drive them apart forever. But Yaz was willing to take that risk. She waited for Zozo to be alone, away from the watchful eyes of the white cat and the green snake.
When the moment came, I stepped out of the shadows, my glowing eyes fixed on Zozo.
I turned, my eyes widening in surprise as I saw Yaz approaching.
Yaz's heart pounded in her chest as she closed the distance between them. She moved slowly, deliberately, her every step a declaration of her intent. Zozo stood frozen, her instinct screaming at her to run, but curiosity kept her rooted to the spot. Yaz finally reached her, stopping just inches away. Without a word, Yaz leaned in and pressed her lips against Zozo's. It was a kiss born of desperation and longing, an expression of all the emotions Yaz had kept bottled up inside. For a moment, time stood still, the world around them fading into the background. The kiss lasted only a moment, but it felt like an eternity. Zozo's eyes widened in shock, her mind racing to process what had just happened. The touch of Yaz's lips was cold, a stark reminder of her undead state.
I pulled away, my heart pounding with a mix of fear and confusion. My first instinct was to run, to put as much distance between myself and Yaz as possible.
Zozo turned and bolted, her paws kicking up dirt as she fled. Yaz watched her go, a mixture of sadness and satisfaction in her glowing eyes. She had taken the risk, and now she would have to live with the consequences.
As Zozo ran, her mind was a whirlwind of emotions. She couldn't believe what had just happened. The kiss had changed everything, shattering the fragile balance they had maintained. Zozo felt a pang of guilt for running, but she couldn't face me. Not now. She needed time to process, to understand what this meant.
Yaz stood alone, her heart heavy with the weight of her actions. She had kissed Zozo, and Zozo had run. It was not the outcome she had hoped for, but it was a step. Yaz knew she could not give up. Her love for Zozo was an obsession, and she would find a way to make Zozo see that they belonged together.